Hi everyone, today I have a special interview coming up. Today we're talking about rebuilding Ukraine. And after more than 3 years of the war, rebuilding of Ukraine has become one of the biggest Europe's challenges, but at the same time maybe one of its greatest opportunities. In today's episode of Berlin Biz, we are talking about how German companies are getting involved in Ukraine's reconstruction. And for this topic, I have a special guest. His name is Alexander Tebbe. He is the founder of Ukraine, Berlin-based startup that connects German investment with Ukraine's reconstruction. He has a long background in the international business. He has been in Ukraine more than 14 times. Inspired by what he saw there, he started Ukraine. And for those who are new on my YouTube channel, my name is Hanna, I'm from Ukraine. I'm here, like many Ukrainians, because of the war. I run here my own digital marketing agency, and I'm a creator of YouTube channel, Berlin Biz, where I explore business opportunities and startup scene in Berlin and across Germany. And today we are talking about rebuilding of Ukraine. Let's get started. Hi, Alex. Nice to meet you.
Hello, Hannah. Nice to meet you as well. Welcome to Berlin.
How are you feeling? How is your day going so far?
Well, it's the typical startup Monday morning in Berlin. Unfortunately, not with the beautiful weather, but with an amazing view over the Tiergarten here in Berlin.
I'm really happy we could meet and make our interview today because we have such an inspiring topic for our conversation. Rebuilding of Ukraine is very important for me as a Ukrainian. For the start, I would like our viewers to get to know you better. Could you tell please about your professional journey? What did you do before Ukraine and how you got into the world of investment and startups? Tell about your story.
Into the world of investments and startups. Actually, I moved to Berlin only 6 months ago. I'm from Niedersachsen originally, and I lived all of my life in Hamburg. And 6 months ago, we decided with all of my team to move to Berlin. So I'm also new here in this city, but I did investments all of my life. I studied at business school in London. I was working for an investment firm in Hamburg after my studies. And when I was 29, I started my first investment company with regards to ships in the shipping world of Hamburg. And I did investments basically for the last 15 years. I will turn 44 years in a couple of weeks. So this is already my second half of life, my second startup, and the second opportunity that I want to go for.
Ah, nice. And you know, my channel is called Berlin Biz. So a bit we talk about Berlin. So how do you find Berlin for people who want to start a startup or build their business here? How do you find Berlin? What is your impression?
It's a very interesting question, which actually gives me goose pimples, which is also a little bit due to the cold inside of here in Berlin right now. I think I visited Berlin 50 times in my life because everything is happening in Berlin. If there is like an automotive kind of fair, it's in Berlin. If it's about robotic, AI, whatever. A lot of startups are located in Frankfurt, Stuttgart, and Munich. But when it comes to annual gathering, everything comes to Berlin. So I've been to Berlin very often, but I never really knew, is it the right place to live? Is it the right place to do business? Is it the right place to start a startup? And everything I can say yes. Number one, it's always also about a personal level. Do I feel comfortable in the city? It's a really amazing place. It's really exciting. You can feel energy here, which I didn't feel in so many other places, to be honest. Number two, so many young people, so international, so many opportunities here, so many meetings here. I'm really overwhelmed by what Berlin has to offer and about the life that we have here and about the startup that we can build here.
It's very nice for us too, because I also make my business in Berlin, and it's interesting to know about perspective of other people, what they think about the city. You've mentioned that you worked in more than 70 countries, but in your story you have a special place for Ukraine. And could you tell what connects you with Ukraine and why did you decide to make project focused on its reconstruction?
Actually, I didn't work in more than 70 countries. I traveled to more than 70 countries. I now have, I think, I did count, it's 73 countries in my passport. When I sold the shares of my first company, I was kind of thinking, okay, Alex, what's next? And I did book a flight ticket to Pakistan just to have a look how Pakistan looked like. Actually, I wanted to fly to India and I kind of mixed up the airports. But from Pakistan, India, Myanmar, Bangladesh, it turned out to be more and more countries. And at some point, I ended up in Ukraine. That was already long before the full-scale invasion in 2020. And I loved Kiev so much. I know that you are from Kiev, and I just felt like, oh my gosh, Alex, you've seen so many countries, and this is Ukraine? This is Kiev? I went to Kharkiv, I went to Odessa, I went to Lviv, of course, I went to Dnipro. I thought, beautiful cities, amazing people, lovely restaurants, food, like the overall atmosphere in Ukraine was just wonderful for me. And I can judge a little because I've seen many other parts, at least for me. At some point, I got a little bit hooked by Sovietsky Soyuz, by the post-Soviet Union countries. I did a backpacking tour to Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan. I even was in Pridnestrovye, Tiraspol. And I kind of enjoyed this, but I always came back to Kiev. And I still remember quite well, I had a summer on Bali, like a vacation trip for 3 months. And it's an amazing place to do vacation. You meet many Ukrainian people there as well. But every morning I woke up, spending time on the beach, I thought, Alex, why are you not in Kiev?
Do you have a root in Ukraine or something like that?
No, not at all. I was born, raised in Germany. My parents are German. I can totally say I wear this band since the first day of the full-scale invasion. I wear my Azov steel, which basically everybody from Ukraine knows, and I know my position. But this is why I say it beforehand. I also was in Russia four times. I studied Russian language at MGU for a little bit, the Moscow State University. And there's a reason why I say this now. I enjoyed Moscow, I admit. I love my life in Berlin, I admit. But Kiev for me is the best of both worlds. It's the best when it comes to the Eastern culture, the Eastern warm-heartedness, the comfort you get. At the same time, the aspiration for freedom, the democratic values, the striving towards the West. And when you ask me what there is this thing about Kiev, I can just say, I've seen both worlds. And Kiev for me is not a compromise. It's the best combination of both.
What's inspired you to start project Crowd Ukraine?
I was in Ukraine now 14 times. And 2 summers ago, I spent the full summer in Hotel Ukraine, which is the big post-Soviet hotel right on Maidan, the center of the city, as you know, as everybody knows who's constantly watching German Tagesschau, because it's the background hotel of Maidan. And at some point, I saw many political delegations, which crossed Khreshchatyk Avenue, as you know, the Kurfürstendamm of Kiev, and then going towards the presidential palace of Volodymyr Zelensky. And one morning, I stood on my balcony of Hotel Ukraine, and I saw a delegation of 10 black Cadillac SUVs. I had the feeling it's Joe Biden. It was not Joe Biden, it was BlackRock. It was a personal BlackRock delegation together with JP Morgan. And they gave a press interview that afternoon. And they said, Larry Fink said it from Manhattan. He was on screen. You can still see it online. We're going to rebuild Ukraine. And as BlackRock, together with JP Morgan, we're going to set up a $1 billion fund for the reconstruction of this wonderful country. And then I thought, okay, Alex, maybe you're not BlackRock. Maybe it's not $1 billion. But in my previous company, I managed to build a balance sheet of 100 million. And I thought, like, in this challenging times, which I believe gives an opportunity as well, I'm able to do it a second time.
You got these feelings.
I got the feeling, I got the energy, but I also kind of think I have an idea how to structure companies with regards to investments. And there's like so many things right now going on for Ukraine. There are so many companies on the sideline who don't give up on Ukraine, who believe in Ukraine, who perceive there's a European future for Ukraine. All of these are my beliefs as well.
Today we will speak about details of your project about Ukraine. It will be interesting for Ukrainian and also for European audience because it's how collaboration can make difference. So
that's for sure.
And I really would like to know some interesting information about Crowd Ukraine, how it works and what kind of future it brings to us Ukrainian people. Let's start speak about Crowd Ukraine.
And people always ask me, Alex, why do you so much believe in the future of Ukraine? And there is basically not just many reasons for the liking, it's one main reason. I felt the resilience of the Ukrainian people. There are still more than 30 million people living in Ukraine, living their daily life. Going to work in the morning after a night of shelling, making coffee at 7 o'clock in the morning. They do not give up. They do not surrender. They are not willing to leave their country. And I so much believe in the Ukrainian people, in the resilience, in the willingness to rebuild the country, in the willingness not to give up their country, in the willingness to be part of the European Union, that I go like, it's impossible to beat or break Ukraine.
Yeah, it's interesting, very impressive story. It's something I really miss about Ukraine. It's our energy. Let's speak about business issues, because it's interesting to know how you're going to develop your project. And we spoke about Ukraine, and we spoke about rebuilding Ukraine, and many people think of rebuilding Ukraine as a humanitarian aid, like a charity, like a support, like a donation. But you decided to approach from investment and business perspective. When did you realize that rebuilding Ukraine is not only social mission, but also good business and investment opportunities?
I would like to answer this question in two different kind of ways. Number one thing, there is a statistical number, and the statistical number is from the German Charity Association, which goes like, after the first year of the full-scale invasion, German people donated more than 1 billion euros of cash. It was not blankets, it was not pillows or helmets, it was basically 1 billion euros of cash. This number has now dropped to less than 10%. And it's simply very, very clear, and just the most honest answer, you cannot rebuild a country based on donations. The World Bank right now just published the latest rapid damage report, and it says, in order to rebuild Ukraine in full, housing, infrastructure, energy, all of their needs and requirements, it needs $750 billion. So number one, it's simply impossible to do this on the back of donations. The second thing, and in this regard, we German people are very special with a question, oh Alex, is it, now I'm lacking the word, moralisch vertretbar, that's the German. Is it morally acceptable to do investments in a war-torn country? Is it morally acceptable to take profits out of a country which is in despair? And this is like a German moral question. In Ukraine, people don't ask this question. Ukrainian people are totally different. And when you talk to investment people in Ukraine, many of them say, look, an investment is worth more for us than free money. Why? Just imagine that in Donbass, with all the resources in the ground, there would have been American exploration towers from Chevron, Exxon, Chevron, Texaco, well, all of like these American oil exploration companies. No Russian rocket would ever touch them. No Russian rocket would ever destroy an American investment. No Russian rocket would ever go for a Chevron tower in Donbass. A donation is like a one-off. I did something good, I feel good, but now I move on. An investment is something there to stay. An investment you have for 10, 20, 30 years or longer, and you do have a deep, viable interest in that country. This is why an investment basically is the biggest protection and security a country can get, because we are not like supporting for free, closing our eyes and moving on. This is like something you have by your side for a very long time. So the best protection actually Ukraine can get is foreign investments. And this is the most moral kind of thing also in my view. And this is something Ukrainian people totally understand and see it like that.
Let's talk about Crowd Ukraine. Maybe you could tell about this project in simple words for people who maybe are hearing for the first time about Crowd Ukraine. What the main idea behind it?
Crowd Ukraine does have two sides. And the first side, I start with the word crowd. And crowd means we want to do a crowd investment from this. We want to make it possible for everybody in Germany, for every citizen of Europe to invest into the future of Ukraine. If right now, for example, I have all of my pensions with ETFs, and you find all ways of ETFs, ETS, MSCI India, America, you can find very, very small niche markets with ETFs for everything. If you go to Trade Republic or a scalable broker and you look for like the Ukraine ETF, there is nothing. If you look for any kind of regulated offering, an investment offering to invest into real estate, to invest into state bonds, into whatever, in Germany and in Europe, there is nothing. Which means, in my view, there is a big investment opportunity, but there is no regulated investment product. So we said we want to make it open to the crowd, not only for institutional investors, not only for high net worth investors, but for everybody, for all of us, to invest into a regulated company. And we are now a German Aktiengesellschaft, a German stock company, fully regulated, and we are issuing shares that start from 275 euros, which basically means it's a crowd investment where everybody in Germany, but we are Europe regulated, where every citizen in the European Union can co-invest into the future of Ukraine together with us.
Okay, but explain what it will be exactly. It's houses in Ukraine. You didn't tell about it.
That's true. Now we come to the second part, which is
Okay.
Ukraine. Basically, the capital raising part in Europe, the investment bit 100% in Ukraine. And when I just mentioned the rapid damage report, 750 billion euros is impossible to invest for one company, for one startup. Our investment goal is 100 million euros in the next 5 years. And then the question is like, okay, Alex, what is the biggest investment need? And the biggest one is very obvious, it's housing. Right now, 13% of the housing stock of Ukraine is either occupied, lost or destroyed. That's the housing stock for 2.5 million people. And as you know, as a Ukrainian, 7 million people are internally displaced within Ukraine. They moved from the eastern parts of Ukraine to the west. Where do they live? The rental prices in the western part, in Lviv, Uzhhorod, Ternopil, have doubled or even tripled. And 6 million people have left Ukraine.
Yeah,
and
unfortunately.
Out of those 6 million people, many are young, many are intelligent, many speak great English as you, many took their master's degree. These are like the young, educated generation of Ukraine, which is not my words, it's the words of the Ukrainian government today to say, how do we bring them back? This is our generation, this is our people, this is our educated guys and girls. We need them to rebuild Ukraine. We need them to give a future to Ukraine. So to answer your question, Crowd Ukraine is in this so-called macro world of real estate. We want to build houses. But the micro level we are in is the young educated guys and girls inside of Ukraine, outside of Ukraine, to give them affordable housing on a very easy level when it comes to come and go.
I saw some of your interviews, some of your presentation. You mentioned that these houses will be from wood. Explain why you decided to use wood for building these houses and what kind of advantages for people who will live there, because it's not quite typical for Ukraine to live in wood houses.
That's very true. Actually, we are a very young bunch of people in my startup. Well, very young. I'm 44 and most of us are like in the midst of our 40s, but we are also still, or we consider ourselves still the young generation, the future kind of generation. And you know that climate change plays a big role in the Western world, in the European Union. You could argue Ukraine in different issues right now, and we just want to have a roof above our heads. But the European Green Deal plays a major role. And there is a saying in Ukraine, to build back better. Not to rebuild what has been destroyed, but to build back better, to get into the future, be part of the European Union. And what we say today is, if we rebuild Ukraine, we do it according to ESG standards. We do it according to the standards of the European Green Deal. We do it according to the values and according to the necessities that we also have in Germany. Yes, it is a bit more expensive, but we position ourselves as an impact investment. It will cost like 2 to 3 percentage points on the return level, and this I have to be honest about. But for us, it's a very worthwhile thing to build sustainable, to build CO2 reduced, and from wood.
You describe Crowd Ukraine as an impact investment project, something that combines profit with a purpose. But what comes first for you? Helping the country or building the sustainable business?
It's difficult to say what comes first. I now let me think about the right kind of positioning. If you are not able to offer something to investors today, they will not come. You can structure the greatest investment product with the greatest terms and conditions, with the best ESG numbers, but if the return level will be zero at the end, it's not an investment and nobody comes. If you today, and I know that on your question, I see the word risk at some point, you consider an investment into Ukraine a risky investment, 5% return doesn't do. We are aiming for around 10 to 15% annual returns. So talking about investments without an adequate return figure does not work. On the other hand, helping comes automatic. If you build houses in Ukraine, the Ukrainian people wouldn't care. Is it built from wood? Does it give a return for the investor? How in the end does it look like? There is a new house. So the impact, I don't say comes for free, but it comes automatic with it. So at the end of the day, it simply goes hand in hand without really arguing what's the more important kind of thing. We structure a profitable investment, and helping Ukraine is inbuilt.
You told a lot of nice words about Ukraine, about this energy, about Ukraine as a startup, and about our people. But we have to talk also about reality of Ukraine. And my question is, make business in Ukraine doesn't only means just investment. You also have to deal with local authorities. You also have to deal with local bureaucracy, with institutions. And if we compare to Germany, in Germany everything is quite structured, but not in Ukraine. And how are you going to deal with local authorities and with this construct permit and so on? It works quite interesting in Ukraine comparing to Germany. Do you have a partner in Ukraine who can help you with this issue? Tell about this part of your project.
Yes, Ukraine is different. I've been to Ukraine 14 times, not just in and out. I've spent almost 1 year since the start of the full-scale invasion in Kiev. I don't have residence permit, but it's always on a 90-day basis you can go there. So I've spent a lot of time. It's different, but it's not the end of the world. People are way more scared about what the country is than it's in reality. More than 2,000 German companies are well established in Ukraine for more than decades already. And we are part of the Außenhandelskammer, AHK, the German-Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce. And you meet German entrepreneurs, German company CEOs all over the place, and they do very reliable and stable business in Ukraine already for decades. So it's not the scary country that people want to sell us for. One thing. Second answer, I'm not Ukrainian and I will not be Ukrainian, but I have 3 very well established Ukrainian ladies in my team. They definitely know what they are doing. They definitely have an amazing network, and you may believe me, they are unbreakable. They have not just a self-confidence level, which I'm always surprised as the guy who founded all of this here. They know how to handle things.
You mean your team here in Berlin or in Ukraine?
They are here in Berlin. They are together sitting with me.
They are dealing with local authorities.
Yes. And I can say they are successfully dealing with it. In Rome, at the Rebuild Ukraine conference, at the URC, the Ukraine Recovery Conference this year, we signed a memorandum of understanding together with UkraineInvest. UkraineInvest is the investment agency of the Ukrainian government, and we signed a memorandum for a 100 million euro reconstruction project, which number 1 means we do have the Ukrainian government by our side. And it's the so-called nanny law. You get a Ukrainian government nanny by your side who helps you to, get everything that you need with regards to building permits, all of that. You get preferred access to land plots. You basically have the option to be qualified as a significant investment project. So next to my Ukrainian colleagues, we do have the Ukrainian government by our side. And now in 3 weeks, we will be at this big Rebuild Ukraine conference in Warsaw, and we will sign 5 another MOUs with the city councils of Lviv, Ternopil, Uzhhorod, Vinica, Ivano-Frankivsk, And this is like something where my Ukrainian colleagues are really pushing their own authorities. They talk to them in Ukrainian. I'm always in copy when it comes to emailing, and I don't know what they are doing, but they come up with a new MOU on a weekly basis. They know what they are doing. Last but not least, we have a supervisory board, and our head of the supervisory board is born in Mykolaiv, is Ukrainian as well, helping us on a very, very high political level inside of Ukraine. So when I'm talking today as a German guy for a German startup, we are at least 2/3 Ukrainian with us.
So let's speak about business. Some of our viewers are entrepreneurs or professionals who are interested in investing in sustainable business. And who could actually invest in Crowd Ukraine? Could private investors invest?
Yes, private investors can invest, Ukrainian investors can invest. What we have for the A round right now, that the residency has to be inside of the European Union, which basically means all Ukrainian refugees, every Ukrainian citizen who has now residency in Europe can invest. We were together with all of my team in Kiev in August, and we were sitting together with one of the commissioners of the NSSMC, the National Security and Stock Market Council in Kiev. It's like the financial regulatory body of Ukraine. And we said, we face so much interest also inside of Ukraine. Because obviously we are a German startup, a German company, we are registered for the German government guarantee, we are having our own kind of electronic share mechanism to distribute shares. Could we do it in Ukraine? And we are right now working on it. There's still some kind of tweaks that as a startup we have to cross. So I think for the B round, we will also be able to issue and market our shares inside of Ukraine. For now, residency must be in the European Union, but nationality doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how rich or how wealthy you are, everybody can invest also as a private individual.
Okay, let's talk also about numbers, because sustainability also means financial stability. So how does the business model work for investors? Where does the profit come from? Rental income, property growth, or other mechanism?
I know that apartment ownership is a very, very big thing in Ukraine. And I often get asked, Alex, if you are now building a rental model, isn't it something new for Ukraine, and how would it work? I don't really want to compare the situation of Germany after the Second World War with Ukraine today. But after the Second World War, there are these big German housing companies or Genossenschaften, which is like community entities that grew up. And one model, not from the business as such, but is Vonovia. They are just a German big corporate refinancing themselves with equity and loans and building houses for rent. And this is something that we want to replicate. We are a German stock company. We have one balance sheet. We want to refinance ourselves with an A round of equity, B, C, D, E round, and raise as much equity as possible. Build houses in Ukraine, as many as possible. At some point, refinance the balance sheet with reconstruction loans and build even more houses. So the full business model is built on growth, is built on scaling, is built on as many apartments in Ukraine as possible, holding it on the German stock company balance sheet. What are we going to do with the houses? Yes, renting them out. And the model is co-living. And why is it co-living? Co-living is something, in Berlin, you have it all over the place. In Lisbon, in Bali, in so many Western student cities, co-living is right now the easy way for the young generation to have fully furnished, fully serviced housing. You just have monthly rental contracts. You can stay as long as you like, but you can very easily also go if you like. You don't have to go to IKEA. You don't have to furnish your apartment. You don't have to think about pans and pots. You just come, you find your bed. Once a month or once a week, a cleaning person is coming, and all you need to bring is a laptop and a suitcase. And this is the model we want to replicate for Ukraine, because there's an interesting kind of shift in society that I do foresee in Ukraine. As you know, before the war, before the full-scale invasion, many young girls would start a family in Ukraine. And it was a very similar situation that we had in the 70s when my parents got married. When I asked my dad today, Dad, when you were 25, what were your 3 biggest dreams? He said, well, getting married, starting a family, building a house, buying a car. If you today ask the young generation, 25 years old in Germany, they don't dream of houses, they don't dream of getting married, and they don't dream of a car. They dream of packing a backpack and going to Bali. And ask them again when they are 35. And this is like something in Ukraine. I know so many young people who say, Alex, I don't know what the future brings. I don't know where I will be tomorrow. I don't know where my job will be, where I will find my partner. Is it in Zaporizhia or is it Lviv? Is it somewhere totally else? And for this kind of growing young generation in Ukraine, or even the returnees who want to go back home, but they don't know, will it be Lviv? Will it be Vinica? Is it Kiev, Dnipro, or Odessa? We want to have a very, very flexible way of co-living, of coming to Ukraine, renting yourself a fully furnished apartment for 30 days, or 60, or 90, or 1 year for as long as you like. And if you find your stable job, your life partner, and you want to have your own apartment, no hassle, no struggle, just say goodbye and move on.
In which cities of Ukraine are you going to build these houses?
I could now say in every city.
But start with...
When I talk about every city, basically everybody in Germany from television knows the cities of Odessa and Lviv and Kiev. What people don't know that much is Ukraine has an amazing system of universities, amazing educational system with more than 40 university cities with more than 100,000 people. Of course, it's maybe not Hamburg, Munich and Berlin, but it's easily cities like Münster, Osnabrück or Oldenburg. Or if somebody's from Bavaria looking at Regensburg, Passau and Bayreuth. So out of these cities, you would have a huge target group for these young professionals. Not everything is located or centered around Kiev. So if you ask me, where do we build it? From Lviv to Zaporizhia, from Sumy to Odessa, from Uzhhorod to Kharkiv, all across the country at least 40 times.
When are you going to start?
Now.
Now?
Absolutely now. And this is like something people ask me always as well. Alex, is it the right time to start? Isn't it too risky? Should we wait until the end of the war? And the answer is very, very easy. Now is the right time. And it has two reasons. Number one, people are already lining up on the border of Ukraine. And when I mean people, I mean investors, I mean funds, I mean institutionals, I mean international guys interested in investing into Ukraine. And there are billions on the sideline waiting for the war to end, waiting to come. If you, and it doesn't really matter, if you are a startup or a well-established SME, if you want to enter an opportunity market, as Ukraine is in my perception today, don't wait until everybody is coming, take the opportunity now. And the second answer to it is, but Alex, okay, you are the first to jump into the cold water. What if it's too cold? We are in the lucky situation as Germans, not just we as a startup, but as the German economy, that we have the German government by our side. The German government was the first and is still very, very by the side of the German economy to give investment guarantees. You have to fulfill many, many rules. You have to fulfill ESG compliance. You have to fulfill the structures of the German investment guarantee, which we do. We are now registered, pre-registered for the investment guarantee. And this means after we have the final signature, our projects are covered for the next 15 years against war risks. It's a cover of 95%. So 5% risk remains with us as a German Aktiengesellschaft. But 95% of the war risk, the risk of destruction from a rocket, is covered by the German government. So the question is very, very easy and in my view straightforward. You want to invest into the future of Ukraine? Don't wait one day more. Do it now.
So we started to speak about risks. Definitely people who want to invest would like to know about some other guarantee, or maybe what would you say also to the people who would like to invest, who would like to help Ukraine but still hesitant?
I think the German government guarantee is the very best option in the world for this. I know from so many other investors outside of Germany who are looking with big envy. They would like to take the opportunity, but if you are an institutional fund, for example, you have your fund rules and regulations. And it very clearly, if you are acting for third-party equity, you are not allowed to invest in a country during war times without investment guarantee mechanisms. And all of these funds that want to invest, that are already pre-planning on investments, that do see the opportunity, they are handcuffed and they are not allowed to do it due to rules and regulations. We can do it, and we have, on an international level, the best insurance mechanism from the German government that we could have. So this is a very clear answer that it doesn't get better. And if you look at the numbers, I can only say it in German, www.investitionsgarantien.de. You can even look up the fine print, what exactly it means, what exactly is being covered. But you can also see that right now, 50 investment guarantees have already been signed. 50 German SMEs, 50 German Mittelstandscompanies are already actively investing. I agree and admit, they do it all in the western part of Ukraine. So when we are talking about rebuilding Ukraine, it's not rebuilding the front line at this moment. It's not rebuilding the destroyed cities in Donbass at this moment. It's more like building new kind of factories in the western part of Ukraine. But 50 German companies are actively doing this. So if you want to jump on board with those German companies, the time is now.
Okay, so we are almost at the end of our interview, and I have a last question. It's about perspective of Ukraine. How do you see Ukraine future in 10 years from now, and what kind of role Crowd Ukraine will play in that future?
I was invited a couple of weeks ago to a very interesting business lunch here in Berlin. And it was a business lunch together with business angels, with very wealthy people who know how to invest. And I gave my presentation about Crowd Ukraine like I did with you today. And I said, we as a startup want to invest 100 million euros. And after that, the inviting guy of this business lunch came to me and said, Alex, I liked it. Nice presentation, nice economic kind of strings that you're tying together. And I can understand, and I do agree. Can I criticize you with one thing? I said, of course, can you criticize me? And I said, this 100 million I didn't understand. How many apartments does it mean for you? I said, well, according to our calculations, it's about 1,000 apartments. He said, Alex, didn't you say there are 2.5 million units destroyed? Housing units? What is 1,000? Where is the game changer? You don't change anything with that. Do it times 10, and then we are talking. And I thought, okay, 100 times 10, that's an easy calculation. That would mean BlackRock then. But I hear this constantly. Everybody says, Alex, you have such a great team. You have such a great idea. You have such great support, not just from the German government side, also the Ukrainian government side. Don't even think about 100 million. Think about times 10.
Nice perspective. Alex, thank you so much for being here today. It was really inspiring conversation, and I'm sure that our conversation will be both hopeful and useful and inspiring. It's how Ukrainian energy and German investment and innovation come together to build nice future for people, for Ukrainian people. And for everyone watching, thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed our conversation, don't forget to like this video and subscribe channel Berlin This. There are so many other interesting episodes coming up. And for now, take care and see you in the next episode.
Bye-bye.